The gates are aligned with the 64 lessons of the I Ching, with those 64 themes, 64 gates, 64 codons and DNA. It's how it all comes together. When you are born, we're going to think of each one of these gates as light switches. When you're born, certain light switches are turned on. That is your birth chart. 3 months before you were born, certain light switches were turned on. That is your unconscious design. So that's the red numbers on a chart 3 months before you were born. And then there's the black numbers on the chart calculated based on your moment of birth. That gives you the design of your conscious self in black and the design of your body or your unconscious self in red. And both of those things together provide the totality of who you are. So there we go. We got all of that out. Where you are defined is consistently who you are and how you interpret that particular energy in your body. That's what people feel when you show up in a room. That's you. Where you are open is where you take in and experience the world around you, the people around you, the transits, the energy around you. Your body's taking it in and translating it and learning lessons by experience. We have 3 types of gates, 3 types of waves. Pardon me. There are individual waves. We've talked about those. There are tribal waves. And so in human design, when it discusses tribal is really far more about like your group of people, whomever that is, family, business associates, your community. It's a smaller circle. And then there are collective waves. And what we are in the midst of right now with this pandemic and global response are really fundamentally collective waves. So as we move through the 3 gates today, which are 49, 55, and 30, let's keep in mind that we could be experiencing waves and energy from any of them because there's this collective response to everything going on in the world. Then there's how we're individually feeling about the situation we're in. And then there's the wave connected to how we feel about those we care about who are in our community and how they're responding. So all of these waves are valid and relevant at any given point in time. I'm going to grab some water. So, as we talk through the waves, 49 in our discussion today is a tribal wave. And it's a tribal wave, as I talked about, with the ratchet and the snap. So it's the wave that, if you know how a ratchet works, every time something happens, it gets cranked up a little more, it gets cranked up a little more, it gets cranked up a little more. And then, because we don't typically deal with situations when they occur, we wait for the straw that breaks the camel's back, right? So it ratchets, and then there's the explosion, right? There's the, oh my God, I can't, right? It's the straw that broke the camel's back. So that's the pattern in the 49. So if that is something you recognize in your behavior and you know that that's a way that your wave operates, then you're going to want to dig in to that one this time, right? Then there's the individual wave. And the individual wave is like the one that'll hop up and crash down really fast because it's personal. It's me. And it's really about the things you're experiencing right here and right now on a day-to-day basis. And that is gate 55. And gate 55 is abundance of spirit. Gate 55 is very much connected to our universal connection. We're going to get into the gates, I promise. And then collective for this conversation is gate 30. And gate 30 is one that does a crash explode. Collective, think of collective waves like an escalator, right? It took a while for it to get up here, and now we're in the crash of that wave and then the aftermath of that as a collective. Yeah, Sophia, we'll get into the 55 because the 55 I have also, and it can be, with lack of a better word coming to me, a very volatile emotional gate. There's not another word right this moment that's coming to me. So, but we'll get to that. We're going to do them in this order: 49, 55, 30. Okay. So the emotional keynote for tribal, which is the 49, which is it builds slowly, crashes quickly, right? Things are going good, life is getting better. One day somebody's hit by a car, right? Then all of a sudden everything changes. The theme for tribal is need. Okay? And so the part that, and I'm trying to stay very, very focused within that center, all of these are impacted by the pulse that comes out of our root. So there is some connection to how the rest of our body operates, right? I tagged everyone, Megan. I don't know what happened, but we just started, so you're not late. You are not late. You're right on time. We're just now starting to talk about gate 49, which is in the solar plexus, and it is a tribal gate, tribal energy, right? It's the ratchet snap wave. So it's ratcheting 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Straw breaks camel's back, it snaps, right? It's your, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. So I've got you, I'm making sure I get all of the notifications. So I've got you guys up on my computer screen over here, and I'm looking at you here on my phone. Because my computer gets wonky and my phone is trusty for staying live and not going wonky. And so I'm trying to, but I want to make sure I keep on top of comments, right? So the 49 is, you know, you're taking things in and you're sitting with it, and you're taking it in and you're sitting with it, and you're taking it in and you're sitting with it. And then all of a sudden something happens and it all explodes out. That's how that works. Now, let's remember we talked about the 6, right? So the 59-6, the 6, that channel, it's also tribal, but it doesn't, but because the 6 is the center of all waves, it does not work in the same fashion. In the 6, it's an idle stall, kind of, if you've ever driven a stick shift, you know, and you've got that, you're between those gears and you're trying to get it to go. It's that kind of feeling. Although interestingly enough, I will say I really appreciated the questions yesterday from Langston. Hey boo, when you're on here, I'm shouting you out only because your questions were really specific. And as I'm talking through the learned understanding of these emotional frequencies, waves, and how they feel, yours may not feel exactly like that, and that doesn't make them invalid. That's why they're yours. And what I'm really, really hoping to help you uncover is how yours feel for you so that you can get the information from them that you need. So I hope that makes sense, because the questions that Langston asked really, the way Langston verbalized the questions let me know how in tune to their emotional waves they are. They just use different words. So please don't think that because I'm talking about ratchets and crashes and stalls that if you're not feeling those things, it isn't valid. It's 100% valid. I'm describing it in the best way that I know how for the context of human design, but that does not invalidate what it personally feels like for you. I just want that to be perfectly clear, right? So that is the 49. And I didn't open. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, I'll just go through all three and then we'll go back through again. Okay, so then the next one is the 55, and the 55 is, it's individual and it's passion. And so passion is very different than need. Need is need in a base, like I need to feel cared about. I need to feel safe and secure. I need, right? Needs are needs. But passion, passion is not about need. Passion is going camping and rubbing those sticks together and generating enough heat to build a fire, getting it hot enough to spark the flame. And passion doesn't burn like an immediate fire like desire. Passion often starts very cool. It's a channel of emoting and putting emotion out. It's about getting your emotions out. Okay, so that means your 49 is unconscious. Okay? Your 49 is unconscious, which means you experience it more in your body. It's there. You're going to be, typically speaking, when something's red, it's there. You're just less aware of it. It doesn't present as visibly to you as the stuff that's black. Ask your husband about the behavior of the 49 and he's going to be like, oh yeah, that happens to her. And you're going to be like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's going to be like, oh yeah, that happens. It's one of those things that others tend to see in us that we don't see in ourselves. And with 55 not being in color, so I'm going to assume that you're undefined in your solar plexus, but that you have some gates that have color, because that's the way that this makes sense to me. Okay, then your 55, your passion is experienced in a huge variety of ways. That's the best way to describe this, right? Because where you don't have color, every possible way that it could show up is what has the potential for you to show up. Mine's in color, so it shows up consistently in that one way versus the 5,000 ways it could show up if it wasn't in color. Okay? So the wave of an individual is like a spike and a lock. It's difficult to read emotions of other people because we most frequently operate in a lock state, right? It's most people are walking around trying to keep their emotions in check and not let people see what they're feeling. And so what you typically experience, especially for people who had something traumatic happen to them early in life, they are people who are very, very good at holding their emotions in, keeping their emotions in check, not allowing people outside of them to see what they're feeling, but they are sending out massive, massive waves. And that's why a lot of healing work is really important for people. That's why a lot of emotional healing modalities are really being utilized now. People are really working through dealing with their emotions, and we need to. So again, this gate, when it's defined specifically, because it's consistently felt in the same way. This gate is really got a deep potential for depression. And that's so, Sophia, when I talked about the volatility of this gate and the emotional frequency that's generated through this gate, I'm really speaking on like my personal experience of being in a place of thinking I was depressed, thinking I was manic, thinking something was wrong with me. Because if you are not appropriately dealing with your emotions, and so I will say this was my perspective of these emotions prior to 5 years ago, beginning to work with human design, going through the spiral, doing emotional clearing. Like, so this is before I started to really dig deep and do this work. I thought I was manic depressive. I had been on medication for depression. I had been like, and I am not trying to diagnose someone. Mental illness is very real. People with chemical imbalances are very real. There's very necessary care that's available. But there are a lot of us walking around not understanding how to help our emotions move through our bodies, recognize them, respect them, allow them, and release them. And so we end up in a place where we really, we're being diagnosed because that's really what we're suffering, because we don't know how to manage through that. And so, right. So, and this is, again, I'm sharing my experience. And I would say, Sophia, you have a phenomenal community. You are doing the work. You are digging deep into your connection to spirit and your connection to everyone else, and journaling through your emotions and journaling through your desire. You're doing this work. And by doing that, you are in a place of managing your emotional frequency far more responsibly than people who are not. It's really that simple. Yeah, Megan, I don't know what else to say, right? Like that's the truth of what it is. That until you are clear on it, are clear on the fact that even in its frequency, movement, and how it feels, that it's actually normal and okay, you think there's something wrong with you. And so when we get into like the meanings of the gates, gate 55 literally is abundance of spirit. So we'll get into the specific gate meanings. We're really talking about kind of like their function and energy, but we will dig deeper. And so that's, Sophia, that's, again, I can't diagnose people, right? I don't want to diagnose people. But your willingness to do your personal work is why you're not in that same place. So then the third channel for today's conversation is, or third gate, gate 30. And that's the collective. And that one, I would say, really pay attention to, I have a four-legged visitor now. If you all would like to meet Bruno. Hey, sweetie, come here. Can you say hi to the lake? No, you're just going to lay there in the sun? Okay. So, Bruno likes a sunspot, and he has a perfect sunspot right here. So then you get gate 30, and it's collective. And let's talk about really the profound movement of collective energy that's happening right now, because we know it. So that means you have it both consciously and unconsciously. That means you're aware of it and maybe sometimes you're not, right? If it's both colors, you have it in both places. And I'm gonna make a guess, right, from, knowing some stuff, that it's gonna be on the lower end of your chart, right? And it's gonna be in the bottom like 4 or 5 numbers, because it's gonna be in the outer planets. And that's how it's going to be on both your conscious and your unconscious side, because those planets move slower than the rest of them. And that's how they can end up in the same gate on both sides of your chart. Anyway, I digress. It's just one of those things, right? The lower on the list, the number, because those are the planet glyphs. If you don't know, see, it's on the bottom. So when you know the planets go in order, kind of. Because it starts with the sun and the earth, then the north node and the south node, then Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, right? So the bottom planets are the bigger planets, the outer planets that don't move as frequently, and that's where you're going to see a lot of numbers duplicated on both your body and your design side, because the planets move slower. Okay, so 30 collective, because we are in such a huge collective place right now. It's desire, and it's not passion, because remember, passion is passion. And desire should never be confused with, it's okay, but one of them had to be in the lower, because it doesn't move as fast. Like if it's up at the top, it's probably your moon or something that's moving pretty quickly, and then one of the big planets was there and wasn't moving. So when you don't have it, again, what it means is you're taking in and amplifying the collective energy with the theme of desire, and it's coming at you in different ways. It's coming at you from planetary transits. It's coming at you from the people with feelings about it around you, and you're taking that in. But it may or may not be familiar to you, because you could be taking it in different ways. Okay, so the nose itch thing is also, just so that we're all clear, some spiritual confirmation thing that apparently runs in my family, but that's a whole separate. When I'm sort of in a channel mode and sort of in a place of a lot of truth flowing, just bear with me, the nose starts itching. Sorry. It's not the Rona. It's the spirit. Oh my goodness. Driven by desire, we go from inexperience to experience, right? There's no choice. Desire is about, ooh, I want that. I want to try that. Desire is that. And the process of desire is never about satisfaction, because you're never satisfied. Satisfaction is a logical function, right? Once you have the one thing, you desire the next thing. You desire the next thing. You desire the next thing, right? And so just being aware of where your desires are, where they're coming from. Like I would say right now, people are desiring a sense of security and stability. People are desiring for things to, let's say, go back to normal. Now, I don't believe they're going to go back to anything they've ever been, that there's going to be a new normal, but that's, my perspective. And change happens through all of these things. Oh, yeah, see, some of you guys know about the itchy thing. Oh. And then I try to not do it, and then it just gets worse and worse and worse, or more insistent that it be acknowledged. How about that? Okay, so tribal awareness, tribal needs drive the stream of awareness moving through the solar plexus, and it's a wave Tribal causes us to bond and stick together, right? There's a back and forth, an escalation in the progression of the cranking up. Then there's 49, which is the gate of principles. It's a ratchet wave that accepts or rejects principles based on the needs of the tribe. Gate 49 is the gate of revolution. It's the energy in the tribe that establishes who gets what and who they obey in regards to resources. So pay attention, I would say, especially to how this energy is moving through the collective right now, regardless of the country that you're in, because we're seeing shifts in all kinds of ways, right? It's that nervous feeling about being rejected. It's unpredictable and consequences. And it's being apprehensive about the consequences of the things that are happening right now. So keep that in mind. That's the energy. Those are the feelings that are going through gate 49 today. It's awareness of, how about this? What, when, and how to get and make food available, and what is needed or not to support the tribe. That energy is found in gate 49. So can you see where the energy translated through gate 49 has been a little crazy lately? Now, again, we humans, people, all of us, but especially those who are doing this work and are willing to begin to recognize what frequency we're putting out, can be part of tempering this. We can be part of tempering it, right? Because it's awareness of how to get and make food available. Going and cleaning the shelves out to have 25 loaves of bread in your house is not food being available for the tribe now, is it? Let's pay attention to how these frequencies moving through the emotional solar plexus are impacting collectively. Right? Okay. Oh, hey, Miss Shannon, how are you? And Megan, thank you for being here, because I really wanted to do something that was gonna be meaningful right now, and helping people understand that we directly impact the collective frequency, specifically through the emotional solar plexus and the spleen. Let me tell you how you do it. Let me tell you how to get that under control, because as we do that, each one of us who takes a little time to do that, to temper our emotional output, is helping stabilize the whole collective. End of discussion. Own it, do it. Okay? So then we get to gate 55, the gate of spirit. The gate of spirit is extremely important to humanity as a whole and to individuals that carry it. It's a very mutative gate. It is a gate that is continuing to evolve in the way it processes energy over time. Abundance is the most volatile of the emotional gates. It has the highest and deepest levels of emotion, or the most intense lack of emotion, because of the intensity of its frequency pulse. When it is activated, it can be deep and personal moodiness. It can cause nervousness that comes out of not knowing what or who to be passionate about, fear of emptiness, the awareness potential of provocation. Am I being provoked or not, and do I like it? The mood to eat. So eating disorders are in this gate. Lots of things are in this gate because it impacts so very much. So when you have this defined, if you have gate 55, whether your solar plexus is or is not defined, or just the gate is defined, it's important for you. You don't make love, you don't work, you don't eat, unless you're in the mood. And it's to protect you and your health and avoid suffering in the spike of your wave. I've had a lot of different eating things. All of that sits in gate 55. And again, it is mutating, it is changing, it is adapting, it is part of the growth of humankind as we move from splenic and survival awareness to emotional and spiritual awareness. The emotional solar plexus continues to progress and evolve, and it is literally the most active, volatile, impactful gate in the emotional solar plexus. So then let's go to collective awareness, right? And so when we talk about collective awareness, I think the thing to think about is we do stuff with expectations. And all of us here know, everyone who's here, who's listening to this knows, we really shouldn't be entering into things with very specific expectations. We should be entering into things with anticipation of the experience. And so when you enter into something with expectations, and then those expectations do not evolve in the way you were anticipating, that will set this wave off, right? Chemistry in this wave turns on, rises to a high peak, turns off, then crashes with the unmet expectations. Things never turn out exactly the way we planned them to be. So as an example, married twice, divorced twice. I promise you, I did not get married planning to get divorced, right? And try to shift that, Shannon, into I'm really excited to see how this is going to turn out. This experience is really going to give me something good, and I'm excited to see how it turns out. Because you're right, it's hard not to have expectations sometimes. This is not me disagreeing. This is me saying that when we want to be better stewards of this energy, and we recognize ourselves putting our energy in a place of expectation, right? Call ourselves on it. As an example, I'm gonna just put this out there. Let me just be me, because it's you. I bet you didn't expect to be quarantined because you met Colleen for some damn drinks, did you? You expected you were gonna meet her, you were gonna have some appetizers and some bevies and a good time, and now your ass is locked in your house for 14 days. Yes, Megan, exactly that. I get it. We are, again, so let's get back into us being creatures of habit, patterns of behavior. It all takes time. It all takes time. And it's okay that it takes time. What's not okay is that we never, ever, ever do anything to attempt to do something different. I mean, Shannon, I love you, right? I do. I absolutely do. You're one of my favorite people. But let's talk about what did you expect? I'm certain that this isn't it. You got more than what you bargained for. But that's the thing, Megan, we all slip. Every last one of us slips. It's now you have more information. Now you have more awareness of where it is and when it is and how it is and how to call yourself on it, how to recognize it in the moment, how to be more mindful about it. That's why it's a mindfulness practice. Girl, we're still practicing, right? So gate 30 is the gate of feelings. It's also known as the gate of fates and the clinging fire. It creates a powerful crash wave fueled by emotional desires to feel things deeply. So when we set ourselves up with expectations and then they don't pan out, we have personally activated this wave, right? And so let's talk about the fact that it's so active in the collective energy field right now. It just is, because everyone's got expectations. There's, expectations of whether or not there's going to be a cure, whether or not there's going to be a vaccine. If there's a vaccine, do we trust it and do we take it? If there's, how long is it going to last? And if it lasts till this time, I'm going to be okay. But if it lasts longer than that, am I going to be okay? I don't know if I'm going to be okay. What am I going to, there's literally millions and millions of people pushing all of the emotions collectively. So 50% of people are emotionally defined. So half of the planet is pushing out all of these feelings of anticipation, expectation of what they feel like needs to happen to remedy our current circumstance. And it's not helping. Because then the other half of the people who are open are taking it in and amplifying it. So we have to come to a place where if we are pushing it out and we know it because we're defined, we are being far more mindful. And if we know we're taking in and amplifying, we need to be a screen and not a sponge. See it, let it sift through the sieve, and let it keep on going. Because when you sit in it and you own it like it's yours is when it's going to cause disruption for you. It's really that simple. Check out, are these mine? Yep. Are these mine or nah? Is that girl. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to suggest, for your entertainment pleasure and to get some good giggles, get you a TikTok. Doesn't mean you have to be on it and do it, but like watch the TikTok. I saw one today that really made me giggle, and it was a young woman, and you can do words and stuff on the TikTok, but it was she was singing Destiny's Child's Bills, but she was talking to the United States, about everything being shut down. Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone bill? Can you pay my automobile? Then maybe we can, but these are the fears. These are the feelings that are out there from everyone. And I have been, I have really been okay. My biggest struggle is helping the people around me stay okay. But on the upside, and if you catch my stories, my grandkids have been a really big source of joy for me because they are completely unbothered. Megan, I am sure your children are completely unbothered. And when I see them running and laughing and playing and they're like, whatever, can I play with my Legos? And it's like, okay, all is right with the world. It's going to be okay. Being different doesn't mean it's not okay. It's just going to be different. Fear of the fates and anxiety about what may or may not happen is in gate 30. Try to enter into what you're doing with clarity on enjoying the experience, right? Ooh, I got this new job. oh, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to do this new job. I'm going to learn some stuff. I'm going to meet some people. It's going to be great. Not, okay, how long is it going to take me to get promoted to the next level? Because then when I get that promotion, I'm going to get this. And when I get that promotion, I'll make this much money. Like, let it go. Just let it go. Let go of anything but enjoying the process. So what I'm saying is not easy. It will not apply 100% of the time. It's a process, but keep working that process, right? Keep working that process. Keep staying on top of. Okay, Alicia, you're getting a little too attached. Back her down. Back her down. And that's what it is. It's, my evolution personally has been really interesting over some years, right? And it's coming to the realization that I'm a member of the Humanity Party. And what's important to me is that people be cared for, that people be safe, that people have good, nourishing food to eat. I really don't care about the rest of the politics. I don't care about the sham that is the global monetary system or the Federal Reserve, because let's be clear, there's nothing federal about the Federal Reserve. It's a privately held company. Just all of that, right? How do I operate in integrity and help fellow man and find ways to help everybody be safe and secure? And as safe and secure as we can be, hurtling through space at I don't know how many thousands of miles per second on a ball that's traveling around a flaming hot ball of fire. Okay, I'm going to pull up, where is the Book of Lines? The Line Companion, that's what I want. Okay, so let's find 49. Yeah, I think there's something to be said for that, but I'm not disagreeing, but what is that really going to mean and going to look like? And I'll say again, I see us becoming, not traveling, right? But being far more discerning about where we're spending our time. If you look at the planetary transits, oh my gosh, here it comes again. Okay, so if you look at the planetary tangents, so the planetary alignments in astrology, you can also look at them from the scientific perspective. And we're going to see a shift in gravitational pull in our universe. Let's science for just a moment. And when we see that shift, we're going to end up with winters that are a little colder and summers that are a little hotter. We're going to end up with temperature extremes that are, in my amateur opinion, right here in this group, nobody might ever hear it again, that are going to shift the way that big farm agriculture operates, and it's going to put them out of business. It is. Because we don't have a way to manage that type of weather shift in that kind of scale. So what we're going to see is more market farming, more smaller local farming, sizes that people can more easily control, growing food and produce. Food is going to become more regional rather than global. And it's going to create more of a sense of community. It's just going to shift things. It's really going to shift some of these things that we have just taken for granted for quite some time, that are going to be very, very, very different on the other side of this. And I've got some things that I've been called out about that I'm working on. I'm going through this book called The Line Companion, which is a human design book, and I'm looking to dive a little bit deeper into some things Ra said about these particular lines. Okay, I'm at 45 and I need to get to 49 first. Right, so if you don't know how to do anything to help sustain your mindful living, you're going to be in trouble. Yes, self-sufficiency. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Which is, so my friend Tina, who is in my Crushing It in Chaos group, she and her husband have done this for a number of years. They moved from the city out to the country. They do what I would call very small scale personal farming. And I'm learning a lot from her. It's been really, really a lot of fun, but I think this is a part of it, right? We need self-accountability, self-sufficiency. We are really moving into an era of a shift in focus. So 49, the hexagram is called revolution, and we step into the emotional system. Remember that every single gate out of the emotional system resonates to the nature of a wave. The channel 1949, so starting in the root in 19, coming out into the solar plexus in 49, is the channel of synthesis and is a design of sensitivity. It is a tribal mystical channel. It is about the nature of resources in the tribe, and it is about touch. The 49th hexagram is the gate of principles. This is the gate that establishes the principles of resources. Who gets what, and what do they get? This is the nature of the 49th gate. It establishes what has to be obeyed. The 49th gate is always looking for obedience. That is its nature. It is a gate of principles, and its potential is the awareness of what is needed or not. Please understand that this is not an awareness. What is needed or not as a principle operates in the wave. When you are at the low end of the wave, you do not need it so much, or maybe you do. Or at the high end of the wave, you need something or you don't. This is conditioned by the nature of the wave. All of our revolutions, all of our principles have been conditioned ignorantly by the nature of this wave. The awareness potential is food discrimination, self-sufficiency. This is all about dictating from the 49th position and establishing the principles about what food should be available and when the food should be available and how to get the food. All of this is about organizing the resources for the tribe. So the 49th gate is an emotional gate, and as such, in its wave, determines what kind of resources go where. The access to food is not guaranteed because it's a long way to the throat. Revolutions are promises. Principles are often nothing more than empty bags, usually with money inside that has been removed. This is the gate of the sacrificer and the sacrificed. This is the butcher's gate. The next gate is gate 55. So let's get to 55. And this is from what is called the Line Companion. And it's a deeper dive into these gates that was written by Ra. And so I feel like this is really relevant. And I'm not going through each gate, the line of each gate individually. I'm just giving you the overall synopsis of what he said. "55, abundance. This 55th gate in the channel of emoting, a design of moodiness, is of enormous importance to humanity. It is in the 55-6 that the nature of emotional spirit will begin to awaken as a genetic evolutionary pattern. And so the nature of the 55th hexagram is important to us at that level. But please remember that on the mundane plane, it is the most unstable of all emotional gates. It is the most volatile of all the emotional gates. It has the highest wave going up and the lowest wave going down of all the emotional gates. Though it represents a mystery, I call it the sleeping phoenix that will awaken and bring with it the fire of the Aquarian age. And that is the next. Just an aside, we are in the cross of planning as a universal background frequency. And in 2027, we enter into the sleeping phoenix as a background frequency. So that is when the fire of the Aquarian age, according to Ra and Human Design, enters into play. The reality is that it represents now this enormous instability in the movement of the wave. This is the glass that is always half full and half empty, going through its wave process, and we take a look at the different lines in this context. Here, the gate of spirit. The potential is awareness of provocation or not. Am I being provoked or not? Do I like it or not? This is one of the things to recognize about the nature of the 55th gate. Anytime that you see anybody that has this gate, please understand how important it is to tell them, do not eat if you are not in the mood. It is so important for them because they can become so unhealthy. If you have the whole channel defined, the 3955, you are always in the mood for eating, then it's all there already. If that energy gets to the sacral or to the throat, there is a way of burning the energies. If you are not connected to the sacral or the throat, there is no way to burn that energy. The 55th gate can only eat, make love, or work when it is in the mood. Only in the mood can it be social. Unless these people with the 55th gate understand that and honor that, they are going to suffer terribly in their wave. So the mood becomes the essence of all of this. What we are looking at as we go through the lines is that these are the lines of moodiness. In general, everything having to do with individuality has to do with honoring moods. And so this is his comment, not mine, because I am defined here. I don't have any emotional definition in individuality, but I have the 12th gate and I'm very individual and I'm deeply moody. Every time I step into the emotional wave, moods are very natural to me. It is simply the reality of what it is to be individual, but it is pinpointed or highlighted here in the 55th gate. So Ra was a 5-1 manifester. Just FYI. Lucky you, Megan. Lucky you. Now, lucky because you don't have it consistently, but it's not that you don't feel it, right? It's that you feel it sporadically and in different ways here and there. And I really don't talk about human design from the perspective of something being good or bad, right? Because it just is what it is. I mean, it just is. And this just is who I is. And I have learned to honor, appreciate, and operate in it. It's not like there's another option. Okay. So the third gate we talked about today, I'm going to get into the 30, the clinging fire. And this is, again, back to our mindfulness about these gates. This is the collective, right? 55 is bigger impact, unfortunately, or fortunately, because it's very individual. But the 30 is that collective energy. Everything about the abstract process is about its experiential nature, because the abstract process will never experience awareness. By the time that the rest of the circuitry that is going out of the emotional system has gained the capacity for spiritual awareness, by the time the change comes, this is a process that will be eliminated. So remember, I talked about the fact that we are constantly evolving, and the system is constantly evolving with us. Shannon, you worry about that 55 when you're with me. That's what you do. But be clear, it's about moodiness. And so when you get that hit of moodiness, you know now that it's not you, right? So then you have to go, okay, who's around me? That's not me. I need to recognize that and know that it's around me, but I need to let that go. So I hope that makes sense. The abstract process is a purely human process. It's our evolutionary process. So this collective energy, all that's going on is part of the evolution of mankind. Our experiential process, and the 30th hexagram in that case represents something unusual. It represents the potential to feel and to long for an experience. Without this potential, we would not have history. We would not have had all of the crisis and change and this whole stream of energy that it has brought. So the 30th hexagram is the beginning of Aquarius. The 30th hexagram is something special to us. This is a direction that we are moving toward. When the spring equinox is in Aquarius, it will be in the 6th line of the 30th hexagram, and it will be the beginning of this process of the Aquarian age. So the 30th hexagram has a lot of value to us. The clinging fire is the gate of feeling. Its potential is the awareness to recognize a feeling or not. It is the energy to generate a feeling or not. Don't be misled by this awareness terminology. It is an energy to feel or not, and its potential is hunger or thirst recognition. Everything about the experiential stream is about hunger in the beginning, the 41st hexagram, the initiating codon, and being full at the end, the 35th hexagram, progress. The 30th hexagram is the capacity to recognize the feeling to eat or drink. We talk about the need for humanity to be able to satisfy the demand of hunger. And you see that the primary human experience is the recognition of hunger and the energy to go and to pursue that hunger until one has found food or can eat. Just as food is a fundamental drive for that stream, sexuality is a fundamental drive for the stream. They are locked up together in this process. The best description I know of the Aquarian age and the nature of this gate is above the lines. Freedom recognized as an illusion and limitation accepted as fate. This is the nature of what we are moving toward. The illusion of freedom. Freedom does not exist. This is the recognition that we all fit into a pattern, and in that we all have our place, and in that limitation is grace. It is not a punishment. This is the nature of what we are moving toward. The emotional quality of this gate is driving us toward this. It is an extraordinary thing to recognize that the deepest force in the emotional motor in this stream, what it is really looking for, is to get out of the experiential business and to be satisfied with the pattern that gives value to the nature of what it is to be. So those are the words of Ra in regard to these 3 gates.